Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a smashing good time. January recruitment month.
I come along, you know. I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not want to.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Cowboy shit, cowboy shit, cowboy shit, cowboy shit.
That's
cowboy
right.
shit.
It is National Cowboy Shit Day, and boy, did it was a great day of celebration. The new champ. It is Wednesday, and we have a new champ, the first champion. They're making his first debut with that gold around his waist, gold around his shoulder. Hangman Adam Page, Cowboy Shit Day. We'll pull that baby down, and we'll get right into it with Dynamite Download, episode 60, bro. Can you believe it, man? Episode 60,
baby.
We're kicking it off with a new champ in Hangman Adam Page. And how did you like that welcoming to kick things off here at Dynamite?
Well, you know, as he said, he earned it. He doesn't just deserve
I need to
it.
stop
He
you
earned
guys
it.
right there.
That was
Not
such a
deserve
great
it.
moment. Great moment. Really, again, I've been really impressed by Hangman's command on the mic of late. And this was a great example, man. This opening segment set, you know, we always talk about how important it is. Feels like AEW always, you know, gets Dynamite off to a hot start. Opening
Always.
segment always has to be a hot one, and then they like to close the show. And this was a great example. This segment with Hangman coming out, celebrating his championship win, and then, you know, right away, jumping right in, you know, like with Bryan Danielson right away getting involved. I loved how this started. I did not see, I mean, part of, you know, we went through the results of Full Gear, and we had we had a back-to-back winner with Full Tilt Deb winning the bingo card. You know,
props to her.
I picked Miro to win against Bryan Danielson, and I should have known better, but I picked Miro to win because it felt like, you know, Hangman was going to win the title. Miro's the natural heel. But my gosh, did Bryan Danielson go out there and immediately, boom, just like that, he's one of the top stars of Team Heel now all of a sudden. What a way to start off this show. And really, I don't know what's bigger. The pop that Hangman got, or those, like, how quickly Bryan Danielson was able to get those huge boos. That was unbelievable.
The crowd turned. I mean, we've seen Bryan Danielson work both ways in his career and work both ways amazing.
Yep.
And one of those few that can do absolutely gold for either way.
True.
But if there's anyone that can change a red hot babyface into a red hot heel, I think Hangman is probably the only guy at this given point. You know, obviously winning the championship, but even before that, the crowd has been so over for him. But I did not expect Danielson to really lean into this side of him, this heel so quickly in AEW. You know, I expected more of a babyface run for a little while because the crowd, you know, as we've been seeing with the matches that he's been putting on, you know, opening the show, getting everyone, involved, and the crowd on fire right off the bat with his music. Now quickly the crowd is giving us the no chance, not the yes chance. But man, when he was leaning into it, it was great. And, you know, I was kind of thinking about this. I'm like, I guess it makes sense. Like, I don't want it to happen, but I know we're going to, you know, appreciate that. But, you know, with Mox's absence, who you were seeing the heel vibes going in there,
Big
you know,
time.
so that A-lister heel. And if we do see Kenny Omega kind of rest and recover with some of his nagging injuries, then I think it makes sense for Danielson to kind of, you know, get into that spotlight, that, you know, top guy heel vibes. So It's very intriguing. It was definitely surprising to see that happen for sure. But as a huge Brian Danielson mark and huge Brian Danielson fan, I don't know, man. I want him on Team Babyface, for good, but I can still appreciate good when good. As the smart AEW fans, chanting "This is wrestling, fight forever" and things like that. And so, man, what a character change! What a character arc that we've seen so quickly in AEW, and just the stuff that he's been putting on.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense too. I mean, he's been week in, week out, he's been wrestling. We've talked about it countless times. Like, it's unbelievable how Brian. Wow,
I know. I had to throw it up there because we're talking about it.
I'm surprised because the main event tonight was so epic. It showed a lot of incredible moves in that matchup between Sami and Jay Lethal. But this speaks volumes. Brian Danielson's promo work was absolutely on point. His match against Evil Uno, it delivered. It was hard hitting, and I think it was just the thing about Danielson is we've talked about it. It's shocking to see how much he's wrestled already in AEW, and I like that. I like how JR talked about how he is not here for the paychecks. He's not here for just to be in a big match and make money. He likes testing himself. He likes the challenge. He thrives off of that. Really love what we're seeing, and it makes a lot of it was a natural transition for Brian Danielson here. I'm in here leaning into the fact that he's the best wrestler on the planet. He easily can lean into that and stoke those fire, like the flames of that fire of, okay, like this is a guy who we all love, but he's a competitor. He is not here just for the cheers. He's not here for all smiles. He likes to fight. He likes to wrestle. And he likes to challenge himself. That we always talk about, iron sharpens iron. This is a guy who constantly wants to prove that he wrestles with a chip on his shoulder. And that's why this feud's going to work so much, because both of these guys kind of operate best with the doubters, the people who doubt them, the people who don't believe in them, trying to prove those people wrong. Both of these guys really seem to bring out the best of themselves when they're in that kind of situation. So really excited to see where this one's going to go, man. This seems like it could be a really big feud for Hangman. I mean, not just a one-off match. This feels like this could be a really epic build.
I hope so. And as Danielson talked about in his post-match promo, which we're kind of going backwards, but he said he's going to kick the head in of every single one of the Dark Order members. And he started this week with Evil Uno, and he challenged Colt Cabana, the Chicago hometown guy, next week on Dynamite, which we're going to see. So if Danielson starts to pluck off the Dark Order members one by one, and then Hangman finally had not necessarily force to step up, but kind of put a stop to the madness of Danielson's turn. And as we've talked about, the home team of AEW, which has been still strong with the Dark Order. So it's a good pairing if you want to get some massive heat, and Dark Order's not only ever since the kind of reuniting with Hangman, but they've been doing some great stuff together. Or great stuff on TV and AEW period that has really gotten them over. I mean, you've seen John Silver and Alex Reynolds and the Dark Order go against the Super Click and the Elite, and that's been some very compelling matches and clearly working so good with the crowd. But Danielson versus Evil Uno to kick things off for Dynamite. Evil Uno is always very impressive in the ring, and of course Brian Danielson, so methodical and all that, and so. I couldn't get over the boos and the no's from this, the kicks and the chops and Danielson's resilience. And he just, wanting more chops and not really flinching at the chops that Uno was giving him, and, then slapping him in the face. But we did see that, Danielson's heel or babyface does have that more aggressive offense, and more fun offense to watch. And, with all the different holds and all that and the kicks and the stomps at the face. And now it's just turned up another notch, man. And it's fun to watch, even though they are taking out our team, the Dark Order. But this guy, man, his character arc has changed so much in so little time, and it's so impressive.
Well, as fans of the Dark Order, I think it's a great thing that they're going to have opportunity to go against Bryan Danielson. And we saw it tonight.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, of course.
SPD, we've talked many times about this group, and you said it pretty consistently. A lot of these guys are underappreciated in the ring. The Reynolds and Silver, the Dark Order, they're hilarious on BTE, and they always find a way to entertain us. But every single time we get a chance to see them actually go in the ring, we're always incredibly impressed by like the talent that they have. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, countless times in tag scenarios where we are blown away by how crisp their offense is together. 10 is a guy who we were so thrilled to interview because we see the work that he puts in and truly stands out as one of the true big men powerhouses of this roster.
Sure.
And then I know that I'm not alone when I say that, what we're seeing out of 5, we got to see him get an opportunity against Kenny Omega. That'll be entertaining to see him go. But the culmination of Bryan Danielson against Johnny Hungy, that's going to be an amazing match, man. I mean, the Meat Man against Danielson, those two in the ring together, the way that their strikes are, the pinball nature of their offense. I know how geeked out you always get over Silver running around the ring, bouncing off of people, hitting people left and right. Danielson's always had that same kind of energy to him. The guy is just nonstop full go when he's in the ring. Cannot wait to see all the matches that we're going to get out of this now, leading up to that big culmination of Danielson versus Adam Page. Loved how this started. Didn't expect AEW to lean this heavily into Danielson going full heel. Really loved the boldness of that call. Very, very ballsy.
And
to
someone
take
who's
a
been in
beloved
for 2
babyface
months.
like I mean, a guy who's been so over as a babyface to immediately just lean into that. It shows a lot of cojones by management and the creative team. Really think that, and it worked tonight. It really worked.
It did. And, when we interviewed Silver, I even said it, and it reminded me of a young Daniel Bryan, or like Daniel Bryan vibes.
Yep.
And so I think that's going to be an ultimate payoff, that one I cannot wait to see in the ring. But I'm so intrigued, of what Danielson's going to say next and the crowd reaction. Chicago is where he debuted. We were there live. And so now coming back to Chicago after this turn,
Great point.
This is one of those like mega moments where it's like you either are going to make it or break it, essentially. And I think the crowd is not going to hold any punches, and it's going to be disappointing for some because we want to cheer for him so bad, but at the same time now we're pissed at him. So I'm very anxious to hear the crowd, this epic crowd in Chicago for Bryan Danielson. But the crowd is another one who gets a lot of heat from the crowd. But we'll start. It's a 2-parter. MJF, bro, his promo that he cut after Full Gear was pretty epic, man. I mean, you got to, as we said, we got to love to hate this guy, man. This guy is an absolute trash. He's a sleazeball, but every word he says is so convincing.
It makes sense. He steals all my lines. He talked about how he plays chess
right now.
Darby plays checkers. He talked about how he checks all the boxes. I've been saying that from get-go. When you
He's
look
watching right now to get his next material.
And as a Darby fan, as the conductor of the Darby Express, I think he was talking specifically to me. I gotta give MJF his credit here, man. Like I'll say it. There's no bigger guy that you hate more than the guy who runs his mouth, backs it up, and then after he backs it up, rubs your nose in the fact that he backed it up. The MJF is every bit as good as he says he is. I think it's a very popular thing to marvel at how good he is on the mic, and he called it out. He said it. He said it very clearly. I mean, he backs it up in the ring. This kid is the real deal, man.
100%. We have no choice, like he said, to admit how good he is, and he has taken down all 3 of the 4 pillars, And so it is what it is. And I picked him for my bingo card, and I knew, he. I'm like a loss for words just because how good he is at walking the walk, talking the talk. And hey, he said, we made you all look like idiots. But the more compelling thing, which we saw, I didn't, he did call out being in Norfolk, but what we saw in the ring was an absolute shock. CM Punk, which we have said for ever since his debut, this would be the dream face-to-face, dream mic battle, dream match battle. And is this where CM Punk takes his first loss? How could you imagine? I know Jericho, he didn't retire Jericho, thank God. But for MJF to give CM Punk his first loss, how many notches is CM Punk going to have on his belt that he can just use as ammo and arsenal, against everyone else until he gets to the top? This would be an epic one to say for sure if he could take down CM Punk.
Oh, if MJF, yeah.
Wow. How amazing was it that these two guys get in the ring, and the crowd was split with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston at Full Gear. So it was going both ways, and CM Punk was kind of leaning into that angry. He had this angry look in his face, and he's like, "I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to prove everyone wrong." Essentially, so. But as soon as they went face to face, we got the holy shit chants from the crowd, and CM Punk didn't even have to say a word, and he just made everything just like explode between these two. But one thing I did notice the whole time, Wardlow is in the back, not even close to Spears, not even close to MJF. He's just kind of back there, like you could see it. He almost is like staring a hole through MJF's head, like a target. He has a bullseye on the back of MJF's head, and he's just waiting to connect and knock out MJF. And I could just, he's pacing. He's just there, standing there. And if looks could kill, man, Wardlow is a dog that is ready to break free the chain, and he's just going on a wrecking ball path.
He's foaming at the mouth.
Wait.
He's starting
He
to
is
foam
foaming
at the mouth.
And,
yeah,
man,
I think it's quite ironic that you said it, even in your build, like all your excitement. Man, MJF versus CM Punk on the mic, what a battle! And then CM Punk comes out and doesn't say a word. It was so perfectly executed. MJF, you can only imagine all the things that were running through his head. You can even see it on his face. He's like, "Are you really doing this right now? Right. He was at a loss for words himself that Punk would come out, interrupt him, basically put the spotlight on an MJF versus Punk feud, get the crowd to go absolutely bonkers, and then not even show him the respect to shake his hand, simply just smirks and walks away. I'm telling you, man, we saw Bryan Danielson have a lot of edge tonight. But the more after the Eddie Kingston match, you talked about the post Full Gear promo that MJF cut. And again, give him his credit, give MJF all the credit in the world. The dude is amazing at what he does. But Punk's post Full Gears promo was pretty damn good too. And that was a reminder that this guy is legendary on the stick for a reason.
Ooh, that's for sure.
Kind of the whole remembering who the F I am, that line. The more edge we see out of CM Punk, Bonds has been calling for it. It's been awesome to see CM Punk just make the return. Come out, get the fans to cheer for him. The whole welcome back tour. I think some of that charm is fading, even in Punk. It's time for Punk to get out there and start getting his hands dirty. I think Eddie Kingston really slapped him in the face, brought him to reality, reminded him that this is always in professional wrestling. There are no, attaboys. You're not going to be hugging it out all the time. You always have somebody who's out there who wants to take your spot. True. And Punk's a big name. He's a big fish in this pond. And, MJF, we've seen it time and again. He wants to be that top dog. MJF does not like sharing the spotlight with anyone. Even though he's in the pinnacle, MJF likes to be very clear to everyone that he is the top guy. He is the best in the business. And there's nobody who can, I think, put him in his place quite like Punk. I think this one's going to end up – you're already kind of calling for maybe Punk to take the L against MJF. I don't know, man. This is going to be
hope
very
not.
interesting. And you know, you're right. If MJF can pull off a W against Punk, that would totally catapult him into the conversation for world championship. And that seems to be what MJF has his eyes on, does it not?
I mean, he did it in the promo, hinting at the
Could be the
belt right there.
TNT title, but I mean, because you talked about going after all the pillars of AEW, Sammy's the one that he needs to go after and take the belt off of.
True.
We've been calling for that feud for a long time, man.
I know we only got
back
a
when
taste
when the Pinnacle and Inner Circle were going toe to toe. Those two have a lot of history together. That's a built-in program. I mean, we've talked about it. You know, it's good to have these one-off big matches. Like we got to see Jay Lethal against Sami tonight, which was a great match in and of itself.
It was, yeah.
But having a story, getting Sami to have a real feud would be that would be a great idea. And MJF as the TNT champion would be a beautiful thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I would like that feud for sure. I think it might be a little too soon just because of the break off that we've seen, Jericho and MJF, and the Inner Circle is still riding strong. So then you kind of get MJF intertwining back with Sami, or that. I think that's too soon down the line. Maybe when MJF is the world champ and then Sami feuds with that, space it out when things with Inner Circle are not as hot as they are right now.
Yeah.
But you're talking about long-term feuds, man. HFO and Orange Cassidy and Best Friends. I mean, we thought this was done, and I don't know when it's going to be the final stamp of let's move on. Is it tonight? Or what do we see? Because the crowd was hot for Orange Cassidy, and we saw a debut of Tomohiro Ishii. And his aggressive offense paired with Big Butch,
I like that Pitbull attitude.
Yeah, I loved seeing those guys go toe to toe, Butch and Tomohiro. But yeah, what surprised me the most was, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise for most people, but OC being so over with this crowd right there. And honestly, I think he was starting to get a little stale for some people, including us here. Nothing against him, just the way he's been booked and kind of planted on the
hasn't
card.
Had a ton of direction.
Yeah, and so clearly he's had a lot of victories. He's had some good big matches, main eventing, beating Jericho twice, and so the skill there is there. But I think this feud has run a little stale for me with the HFO. I don't see an end game, or how do you end it? With Team Taz, this stuff with Team Taz. They've had long-term feuds, and it's another one of those that's being stretched out, I think, a little too long. That being said, overall, this match I thought was pretty entertaining, and nice to see a fresh face as well, and see Butcher and Blade back in the ring.
Love seeing Big Butch back
galore. It had chops galore, so it's definitely an SPD favorite for there if you're getting those brutal chops. But the main question is, it's now what? Do you ride some of that momentum with OC? They're the best friends, the Chaos Club or whatever they're calling themselves. They're growing, by the week of members. What's the end game here?
It felt like when Orange Cassidy beat Jack Evans and shaved his head, felt like that. To me, that should have been the end. I mean, that could have been a very conclusive big moment.
I like that.
But yeah, I mean, this feud, I agree. I know what you mean. I don't know what the end is. It's definitely it's going on. Matt Hardy clearly seems to be obsessed with Orange Cassidy, and that's it's led to some great moments. I mean, I love seeing Butch out there. I liked that back and forth strong style that we got to see in this match. Blade,
oh yeah,
Blade's intense too in the ring. And it's obvious. I mean, we weren't there tonight, right? But if you're in that live crowd, the energy that Orange Cassidy gets from the fans, if you're Tony, you got to book him. I mean, you got to book him and put him in moments. He's over. He's really over. So it's tough. It's tough to say what's next. This feels like it's played its course, but I'm not booking, so it's tough for me to know. And again, it's easy for us to say that we'd like this to end, but where do you go with these guys after this is over? There's no clear next step for them. and that's where it gets kind of muddy. So at least this gives these guys still a direction. We'll see where we go from here.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Another match that I'm very intrigued to get your take on is the quarterfinals of the women's TBS title tournament. You had a rematch, a multiple rematch. I mean, both women going into this match, you had 51 wins by Sheeta and 50 by Nyla. So both these women have over 50 wins. But first champ, and then the most recent champ before DMD. And so this could have been a finals match as well. And it's the quarterfinals,
Yeah.
Rose and Sheeta are two aggressive members of the division. And I think I love their hard hitting style offense. And that's one of my biggest knocks in the women's division at sometimes is I don't get enough follow through,
Yeah.
some missed spots more often, too often. And these two women are competitors that are at the top of their game, top of the division, that are no nonsense, physical in the ring, both very aggressive. I love their offense. I mean, that chair, Nyla Rose
When she did that senton through the chair, that was
the
brutal.
chair just exploded. Like if you do that on the ground, period, but let alone on top of a chair, that just exploded. And I love the methodical offense and the methodical pacing that Nyla Rose brings to matches too. So I know, her advancing in the tournament makes sense in terms of the overall landscape because Deeb versus Sheeta is absolutely money. So I think that feud will stand alone and be such a win-win for us all as fans.
Yeah, I think you said it really well. I think that, the next, even though I was personally rooting for Sheeta to win,
Of course.
the way this tournament stacks up, it makes a lot of sense for Nyla, the gatekeeper, to get pushed, to move forward.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Thunder or Jade would make a lot of sense going through Nyla. So either one of them would really make a lot of sense. I don't mean to book the show in advance, but I think we all see the writing on the wall that seems to be where this is going forward. I like that. I thought this match was really well played out, very smartly paced by both competitors.
Yeah.
Loved how physical it was. I really enjoy seeing Sheeta have those opportunities where she has opponents that can take her offense, because when Sheeta is not holding back, when Sheeta's really going all in with her strikes, there are few in the company who can really match her on some of those. So I really enjoy seeing that side out of Sheeta. I also think that, as you said, this was a smart way of having two top competitors, both of them over 50 wins, having one of them lose without losing credibility. You build, and instead it's a win-win. Nyla gets the W, moves forward in the tournament. Sheeta takes the L, but clearly has a built-in feud with one of the best wrestlers on the planet, the professor of professional wrestling.
That's right.
Serena Deeb. So again, not only do those characters all benefit, but the division as a whole benefits. You get more stories, you get more of it fleshed out. And as you've said since summer, SPD, build that division. Make other stars other than the DMD feel important. And now when we look at this tournament, you can go through the list. These women all now have more purpose than they did before this tournament started. And that's a very, very good thing.
Yeah. And, with DMD's promo cutting off, we don't say her word.
I love that.
Magic word, Thunder Rosa.
Love that.
It's like the Beetlejuice. You don't say it 3 times because it's going to come true and they're going to come finding you. But this tournament bracket, the only way I see Thunder Rosa losing ever is any kind of interference from the team DMD. So if she does somehow magically lose to Jamie Hayter next week in Chicago, I think it's at the expense of of DMD or Rebel. So that being said,
I think Thunder's going to get past Jamie, and I think that might irritate the DMD and crew, and that she might end up costing Thunder versus Jade. I
Okay, that makes sense.
want Thunder to win the whole thing, so I don't
Of
want to
course.
jinx her.
Agree.
But if Thunder loses, I think that if Thunder beats Jamie, and maybe the antics that causes the DMD and her crew to get irritated, kind of get, Jamie comes back and complains to Britt about it, that type
Sure.
of thing. It could be one of those situations where Britt says, okay, we're going to take her out once and for all and cost Thunder the big opportunity. I think that would be a great story. And then again, Jade versus Nyla would be a powerhouse battle. That would be unbelievable.
It would. So do you see Nyla? So Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. Who do you have on that? Soho?
Man, that's a tough
I know
one.
that
Yeah,
one's a-
I
I
think
think that one's a
I think
tough one to
Soho.
book.
I think with the way that they've been presented, even though Statlander has a lot of the size on Soho, I
Yeah.
think that Soho is going to win that one. I think she's got that veteran savvy. I think she pulls it out.
And then Nyla Rose beats Soho.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
a tough
then you
one.
have-
That's a tough
It's been
one, but
so
yeah.
hit or miss. It's been so up and down with the Nyla Rose booking. You know, we saw her lose so
Do you-
quickly to Statlander,
Man,
and
this tournament is tough, dude. This is a really because you could see Ruby beating Thunder, beating Nyla too. I mean,
I know.
Ruby's a dark horse for the TBS title. We haven't really given her the
True.
credit
You're
that
right.
she deserves, but her debut feels like a big deal in this company.
Mhm.
That could be it's interesting. Now that when you talk about that, SPD, there are options in this tournament.
There are, and we can't wait for it to unfold each week. You know, another match that we're getting. One of my favorite matches of the night. You know, and the crowd was having it. They're all for. Everybody loves the Acclaim. Throw it up with us. You know it, man. These four competitors in the ring brought it tonight, and they definitely brought it. The fans knew it. The smart fans were giving us those chants. You know, the money promo is always by the Acclaim to kick things off.
Man,
That's anytime I hear that you know the siren go off, I'm like edge of my seat, waiting to hear what Caster has to say. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm like, what's going to happen? You know, what's he going to say? And then I love when they pan to the guys in the ring of their faces because to me, man, it's genuine. You know, they don't know, and you're getting a genuine reaction from Dante and Leo. Man, which Leo himself can hold his own. Obviously, being an ex-manager. And can hold his own on the mic and in the ring. The total package, Leo Rush, man of the hour.
Yes,
but this
sir.
match, man, it was what really impressed me. Obviously, Dante Martin always impresses me. This kid is absolutely incredible. The stuff he does, the height he gets. In this match, though, I was like, Leo or Dante, who's getting more air? I mean, both these guys are going to a whole nother level. You know, the upper decks, the nosebleeds, and coming back down. But Bowen's really impressed me again. This guy is continuing to get better and better in the ring. And just watching him work tonight in this match, I'm more and more impressed with his in-ring work. Man, Bowens is growing fast in the ring, and I love how comfortable he's feeling in the ring and just the work that he's putting in. So I got to give props to Bowens on this. You know, everybody loves the Acclaim. The number 4 ranked team took a loss to a team that was recently formed to, you know, their second match as a team. So I think it's deserving for Dante and Leo to get this and to get a push because these two guys in the ring are very fun to watch, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you've talked about it. Strap a rocket to these two as a duo. And that's why maybe the post-match stuff with Team Taz didn't really work for me just because it didn't really make a lot of sense. Like,
yeah,
they just had a big win. Like it didn't make like the timing of it didn't feel right. But what does feel right is this duo of Dante and Leo Rush. They just seem to work. Their in-ring work is so smooth together. You can tell they're starting to really hit their stride. Big win, big upset win over the Acclaim, the group that I really feel like the Acclaim will be AEW Tag Team Champions one day. I think like they have that ability in them. They could cut great promos. I think they could be over as heels or baby faces. Just and more and more as we see them, you know, those guys can get it done in the ring too. They're both big dudes, both strong. You know, Max loves to talk that game up. They're good at what they do. Very different, very unique clash of styles in this one. But I think that they clearly they're booking Dante and Leo to really take another. And imagine that those two in a match against the Lucha Brothers. I mean, the style, you talk about the height that Dante gets. You see, how
Yes,
fluid and
please.
fast Dante and Leo are both in the ring. Well, dude, you put them in the ring against Ray Phoenix and Penta, you're going to be really blown away. That's a match that I want to see like tomorrow. I mean, that's going to be a home run match without a doubt. So those guys make a lot of sense as competitors and as challengers for the current tag champs. They fit more. And even though I was a little shocked that the Acclaimed took the L, Leo and Dante fit more as championship contenders with the current champs than the Acclaimed right now. I don't see, the Acclaimed working with the Lucha Brothers because so much of what makes the Acclaimed work is the promo game, the promo battle. I would love to see them get in a feud with a team like FTR who can hold their own on the mic, or with Team Taz. But speaking of Team Taz, I mean, you have them up on the screen right now. Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks. I hope that we get to see those guys actually step in the ring. This feud, I'm praying that this one, they move it along a little quicker.
Right.
The recruitment angle stuff with Team Taz just doesn't seem to hit for me. I feel like they have more potential than this constantly like begging people to come into the group and failing. It doesn't work. I think they need to transition quickly to Dante clearly not going to break away from Leo Rush and these guys going after them. Give me Hook versus Leo Rush. Give me Ricky Starks and Hobbs going against Dante and Leo Rush. Give us some in-ring stuff with these guys because the recruitment thing, I think we all see that this is not going to pan out.
What if because they're just started this team of Leo and Dante, what if Darius gets recruited by Team Taz and they split up top flight? So I didn't think about that. The chat is bringing up Darius, who's been out for a little while. And obviously we love top flight as a team. But if Darius gets healthy and does come back, you can't really kick Leo to the curb unless you formed a trios, which still would be very, very compelling. Or you have that brother versus brother dynamic.
I like that.
We haven't really seen. And so I think
saw you threw that in the chat, and I like that.
A failed recruitment by Dante, and then a successful recruitment by Darius, and like how he comes back all pissed, like, how could you replace me? We're brothers, and blah blah blah. And Leo
everyone's
Rush,
talking about you, and you just forget about your brother.
How do you like that, man?
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I actually really like that, and if anyone from AEW is listening, that's a creative idea you should take and run with. I love that call by you, Speedy, and it would make a lot of sense too with the AEW embracing the Tournament of Hearts. Really trying to pay homage to Owen Hart. That's really where Owen broke through, was when he had that feud with Brett. A brother versus brother feud is money every single time, man. And these two guys, it would be really interesting, and it makes a lot of sense the way you put it. I like that a lot, SPD. Great call.
Man, moving on. Wishful thinking, man. Wishful thinking. It's fun to play Booker and feed off the chat and all that. Main event time: Sami Guevara versus Jay Lethal. Man, I be the first to admit I know Jay Lethal has a good reputation. On the Ring of Honor, the Indies, and all that other things that I have not watched religiously, like I have been invested in AEW. And so the little bit I know about him, everyone says great things. Huge signing, underrated signing. An awesome Ric Flair impersonator.
Macho Man.
And Macho Man as well, man. I heard the best Macho Man impersonation, but the Ric Flair promo that the battle they had back and forth was absolutely spot on. You close your eyes, you don't know who's who on that. But But this match, man, this was another one of those. The fans were in love with this match, including us here at Dynamite Download. This is wrestling chant. They get that. The crowd is split. The fight forever chant. That's where the smart marks, the smart AEW fans that are educated and can appreciate wrestling. And we saw the sportsmanship. Yes, Sammy's ribs are hurt, and it's a target for the opposition. To try to win that belt. I mean, there's gold at stake at this. So if you're going to have to target a body part that's injured and to get an advantage, by all means. But at the end of the game, at the end of the match, respect and showmanship, which will end it on a high note. Jay Lethal is here in All Elite, and I think this was a fantastic main event, and the commentator team did a great job saying this is the first main event open challenge. I think the TNT title needs to be in the more main event spotlight more regularly. I like that. I think they should have advertised that this ahead of time. The TNT title is on the line for the main event with Jay Lethal's debut. Like, it deserved more of a hype. But did this match live up to your expectations? And how do you think Lethal did on his AEW debut?
Yeah, I've seen enough of Jay Lethal before AEW here to know, like, I mean, this is a guy who can go in the ring. He's not just entertaining on the mic and not just a comedy guy. He's far more than that. He's actually one of the better all around in-ring workers. And I think he's the type of guy who can go with anybody. So really great, smart move by Tony Khan to bring him in. And he can be funny and he can be serious. And that's one of the great things about him is, he could be that over the top character, but then he can also, like we saw tonight, hone in on a body part and just go at it. And I mean, we've seen him be one of the most dominating champions in Ring of Honor and in Impact history. I mean, the guy is everywhere he's been, he's really made a name for himself. And more than that, he has a lot of respect from his peers. And you and I have had an opportunity to have some interviews with AEW talent. And when you hear, the consistent feedback that, for example, Pac's a great wrestler, you start to see, like, there are names that when you're in the industry and you see the people who you admire their in-ring work, a lot of people will say Jay Lethal, he's one of those names too. And Sami versus Jay was a great in-ring, exhibition. Those two, their styles worked really well off of each other. Sami, we've talked about it a lot. This dude is willing to put his body through hell. It seems like he's fearless. I mean, taped up ribs, jumping off of ladders, jumping off the top rope through a table tonight. The guy is unbelievable what he's willing to do. And it's one of the many reasons why it just feels like this kid's a star. And it's so great to see him get this opportunity as the champ. I'm with you. I want to see him get advertised main events on TNT Dynamite week in, week out. You have a young kid like this. Don't worry about overexposing him. Ride it out. Strike while the iron's hot. You put the belt on this kid, show the world what he's capable of. Put him in matches like this over and over and over again. Have him have these showcases where he will absolutely ball out in the ring. Put him in matches with people who can go. Lethal's a great example. A guy who is a veteran, who absolutely has the motor to keep up with a guy like Sami. And it kept the crowd going nuts. The crowd wanted this match to be another 10, 15, 20 minutes. And these guys could have done that. So I like the way this ended. It showed a mutual respect. Maybe that gives Lethal a rematch again down the line. For this being his debut match in AEW, I think he impressed a lot of people.
He did, and I'm anxious to see where he goes next. I think, the crowd is very behind Lethal, and I think we have ourselves a nice, near the top, if not, eventually we'll get near the top kind of babyface. And so it would have been cool to if Inner Circle ever needs some backup, they can recruit Lethal out of the respect of that.
That's cool. I like that.
I was very happy with this main event. I love the counter offense that these guys were doing. They're countering each other so well. I love that match, that style of match where one guy goes big and then right away they counter it, or they're trying to hit their big moves and they counter. So I absolutely love this main event, and anytime Sami's in a solo match, man, he steals the show for sure. But
I liked how smart Lethal was too. I mean, I know you're a big Bryan Danielson guy, and I like how Lethal exhibits some of the same traits that Danielson does when he's in the ring. Targeting that rib cage, his kicks, almost all of his offense was, he's not always like that in the ring. It was a very smart approach, right? I mean, going for, the abdominal stretch and trying to get move after move, targeting that rib cage. just want to throw that out there. Again, very smart, well wrestled match by him. You said moving forward, you got the booking by SPD going tonight. I think you got some great ideas. That you must have had a good beer before the show. What do you see going forward, SPD?
No, I was just gonna say, moving forward into the next 2 shows that we're getting, I think we're starting to see some crayfish specials, man.
Oh, dude, they've been
Rampage.
feeding me.
We got
Oh.
Billy Gunn, the Gun Club, which we're loving this side of them. The heels, the undefeated heels versus Darby Allin, Cargill versus Velvet, and Adam Cole and Bobby Fish versus Jurassic Express on Rampage. And then Danielson and Cabana, Thunder Rosa, our favorite here, versus Jamie Hayter, and that 8-man tag, which is a dream match for, I would say, most people. That the talent level between 8 men is mind blowing.
You name the names of those people who are in that match, SPD.
Lucha Brothers, Cody and Pac versus FTR, Andrade, and Malachi Black. Does it get much better than that?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, that's a lot of talent in the ring right there, and talent that I absolutely. I mean,
That's for 60 minutes.
I mean, that's an incredible lineup right there, man. That's unbelievable.
I would take a 60-minute match.
The AEW has got a glut of riches right now. This roster is absolutely stacked. And there's no division that's weak. There's no you can't say that they're light on baby faces or they're light on heels. You can't say that their tag division's falling off. Like the women's division is getting fleshed out and getting stronger. And what I like too is, I mean, really, SPD, I know that like Dark and Elevation clearly are kind of like a very separate entity than Dynamite and Rampage, but it feels like so many people are main event guys. It feels like so many talents are big names on this roster. I mean, it's in the WWE, it's so much clearer of who's a top guy, who's a mid-card guy, and who's a bottom shelf guy. Right. AEW treats guys like Daniel Garcia every bit as important as a Sami Guevara. Like they treat they give guys opportunities and they showcase their talents, and it makes it so that like when you get stuff like this, all 8 of those guys, SPD, all 8 in that match have been booked where they all feel important. Some of them have taken some losses lately. Yeah. It happens. This is what is smart booking, where you have a way of making everybody feel strong. There's so few people on this roster where you're like, Like I love what they've done. They've built such a strong, credible roster.
It is.
There's so many still dream matches that we haven't had a chance to see too, and that's the beautiful thing. So they do a nice job of milking it and stretching it out. They really do.
Milk and stretch. Milk and stretch.
Yeah, get a workout in.
All right, guys, we're wrapping things up for episode 60. Thank you guys for joining us. We will be back on Friday night for Rampage.
Join Bonds and
Rundown
and our guy SPD. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to see. I'll be in the chat here talking with you guys, kicking it with you all. Can't wait to see that one, dude. Like you said, full gear. It feels like we are just going. We're hit the ground running, man. Let's go, baby.
Buckle up, everyone, and maybe we'll see Crayfish make a cameo with his train whistle for the Darby Express. We shall see. But thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys had a awesome cowboy shit day.